This is the Planet Shapers podcast. I'm Peter Dredge, the co-founder of Planet Shapers. In this series, I speak with people making a positive impact around sustainability. Honest discussions with those helping to shape a more sustainable future. Today I'm joined by Callum Champagne, founder of Grow the Future, a social enterprise using regenerative farming to create employment pathways for young people. Callum is helping young people build confidence, skills, and find opportunities that lead to work. Hey Callum, welcome.
Hi Peter, thanks for having me.
And first of all, just remind me where you're based.
So we're in the Bega Valley, down on the far south coast of New South Wales.
Let's talk about Grow the Future. First of all, just give me a high-level description of what your social enterprise is.
Yeah, so Grow the Future is a social enterprise that works with 12 to 24-year-olds, so young people, and we exist to create space for young people to grow. Now that word grow kind of has a double meaning for us. We're literally growing food, we're regenerating the land, but just as importantly, we're using this as a vehicle to grow the confidence, capacity and connection of young people. And so we sort of use hands-on, project-based supportive settings to engage, train and employ 12 to 24-year-olds to kind of skill them up for the future and for their future.
And tell me, you've got some different pillars, haven't you? Just outline for our audience the different pillars that you have.
In terms of the different ways that we work with young people?
Yeah, and the different sort of, I don't know whether you call them programs or just the different streams that you have.
So, engage, train, employ. That's sort of the three ways that we can describe the way that we work with young people. Our engagement is mostly done through what we call the hands-on program. And so that's a program that we run on Mondays for 12 to 17-year-olds who are disengaging with school for whatever reason. And that's kind of a bit of a fusion between environmental outdoor education and project-based work experience. We also do kind of like an array of other more seasonal or more direct programs. Like we work with a lot of the schools to bring school groups down who are working on a specific thing that relates to their curriculum. We have a couple of partnerships with disability organisations. We run, in school holidays, we kind of run workshops and programs to kind of get young people active in those periods. And then we run a couple of bigger, kind of more socially focused events throughout the year. The training that we do, which is probably sort of like our flagship program, is what we call the Grow the Future Training Certificate, where we partner with kind of community colleges, which is a relatively local RTO, registered training organisation. And we work with 15 to 24-year-olds who are facing barriers to employment and education. And we've put together a bit of a package of accredited units that come from the fields of horticulture, ecosystem management, and workplace foundational skills. And it's a 16-week program, 1 day a week, that kind of works with young people to dip their toe in the water into all of these fields and also kind of build skills, confidence, connections that'll help them out as they kind of move towards adulthood in the future. And then that third pillar is employment. And so we talk about providing stepping stone employment or transitional employment, where we genuinely employ young people. We employ about 15 young people, 15 to 24-year-olds, about 1 day a week at our farm, which is, people listening to this will probably know a little bit about social enterprise. If you're a straight out business, it's a terrible way to run a business because it's kind of chaos having so many people with such kind of, I guess, like small amounts of time. We're kind of constantly, retraining and all that sort of thing. but it's very much based on the idea of, this idea that young people can go from what can often be sometimes like pretty, disempowering situations where they might not be working, they might not be studying, they might have dropped out of school early, uh, and going kind of from that to sort of fully employed, married with a mortgage. That idea is pretty unrealistic, and a lot of young people kind of need to take small steps towards what we might call adulthood. And so we're trying to provide a small step, and it's kind of been really successful. Like one of our big anxieties starting was that we would create a bottleneck in that side of the organisation where people come. We can obviously only employ so many people, and we were worried that people wouldn't transition on. But it's really worked perfectly in that it seems that as soon as someone's ready to move into employment, which often comes through the training program, like it often comes through graduating in that, but not exclusively, not always. As soon as someone's ready to move in, it's often the case that someone's disappearing out into the world. Like, they've found full-time employment, they've left the area to go kind of do something else, or they've transitioned into something else. Which is something, it's kind of a happy accident, but I guess it's a big success story.
And Callum, why farming? Why have you chosen to build this community, to build this support network, to build this program through farming?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's sort of two big reasons. One is the role that food does and needs to play in the community. And by that I mean Australia-wide, there is just not enough local food being grown. And everyone wants local food, but there's just kind of a lack of it. And so there's no community you would really go to where there's not a demand for more local food, and that's definitely the case in the Bega Valley. That's kind of one reason, is sort of like the role that it plays in the community. But probably the bigger reason is young people kind of can often go through life feeling they're not seeing any tangible outcome of an effort that they've put into something. This is especially true for people who just school hasn't worked for. They put effort here and a bit of paper comes back saying they got 60%, and they can often find themselves in a place of disempowerment. Planting a seed, caring for it, like monitoring it, watching it grow, helping it grow, and then watching it grow to maturity, and if it's a food-producing plant, eating it or putting it on the market gate for someone who values it to buy it. That's literally like bringing something to life that wouldn't have existed without you. And that's an incredibly empowering experience for young people. And yes, especially that, for young people who feel like they might have a lack of control over their own life and the impact that they can have in the bigger worlds. It can be like a really, validating experience to kind of see that outcome of their work.
You don't care who comes to you, do you? You're willing to take on anyone if they show the interest and they show the desire. You don't sort of only select or take on a particular type of individual in particular circumstances, do you? Tell me how you will really give everyone the opportunity if they show that interest and initiative.
We work with young people. So we work with 12 to 24-year-olds. We don't exclusively work with disadvantaged. We don't exclusively work with future leaders. We work with all young people, and what that means is we get this incredible diversity. 15-year-olds who have left school early and don't know which way's up, which way's down. Then we've got 23-year-old empowered, climate activists, like people who want to go and change the world and feel that they can. and everything in between. And having that diversity means, yeah, people really get to feed off each other, support each other. There's some awesome kind of peer relationships that go on. And it also kind of makes it, yeah, it's become a nice, like, once you're part of Grow the Future, you're part of Grow the Future. And there's been some really cool, it's just connections that people might not make out in the community or through other programs or other services.
I know you don't like to highlight individual success stories, but can you just give me a sense of some of the positive outcomes that you've seen from some of the individuals that have come through Grow the Future?
One young person who has been through every single program. He also did a school-based traineeship with us, and he's now really turning into a leader in Grow the Future, but also kind of out in the landscaping bush regen space in the community. So we're actually looking at expanding and hoping he's a big part of that, but it might actually be hard to keep him because he's so skilled and there's so much demand in the community, which is a great story for a kid who just completely disengaged from school at 15 and didn't really know what's next. A couple of other examples of people who are working with us now who, I guess came to the Grow the Future training program at a bit of a crossroad, like which often happens, like it's kind of don't really know what's next. Let's try this. And they're now kind of, I guess, the leaders in the team and are sort of peer mentors to others and working in roles that are kind of, I guess, semi-autonomously and are a big part of the organisation. So they're kind of like the internal transition stories. And then we've got some cool external transition stories, which are, we've worked pretty closely with the Bega Local Aboriginal Land Council, and a lot of their young people have come through both our training certificate and our like employment programs, and are now kind of playing big parts in the Local Aboriginal Land Council as rangers, and as part of kind of like the land management crew, which is very cool. And then we've just got people who, like, farming is the vehicle that we use. Like it's it's kind of like the tool that we use to create change in young people. But it's not about turning everyone into organic farmers or environmental warriors. And so the stories of young people who, I guess, came to us like it was a big deal for them to commit to something that was 1 day a week for 16 weeks, and have now gone on to employment at the cheese factory, which is the biggest employer in our community, or just anything like that. Like just seeing young people kind of, I guess, use it, like I've talked about stepping stones or transitional place, and really use it in that way. And go on to, mainstream employment, which is something that's, completely different. But yeah, we like to think that the experience that they had here, help them get to a stage where they can go on to that.
Callum, what is it about you that you're driven to do this? Why are you so passionate about it? What's in it for you, I guess? I guess I like I like diversity, and in this role I get to do plants, animals, humans, young people, and business, and so that's like a cool thing to try to balance. I like particularly working with young people who have struggled engaging with other systems, and using plants, which is something that is like maybe popularly thought of as very uncool and like not interesting, but the moment you dive into it and learn a little bit about it, it is one of the coolest and most interesting and most inspiring tunnels that you can go down. And so I like introducing people into that world, and I like using that tool to
to give young people whatever it is that they need.
And what is your vision for the future of Grow the Future?
The biggest and most important one is sustainability of what we have. As in, this is something that seems to work. Like for a regional community, we get huge numbers of young people come through our programs. We are kicking really big social goals. So that's kind of priority number one. But the secondary priority is to grow the employment side of what we do, get a bit more creative and diverse with that side of what we do. The big strategic push at the moment is to set up a nursery, and the focus of that is on that employment arm. So the nursery idea, which will hopefully be kicking off in a couple of months, and then add to that nursery a bit of a retail arm. Maybe one of the things that we want to cultivate in Grow the Future is more youth-led stuff. And so the nursery, we're really hoping that is driven by the young people. Over time, we kind of want some young people to sort of step into roles where they're kind of leading some aspects of it, and they're working in more autonomous ways. And then the benefit of that is, like I was talking before about the peer relationships and the kind of youth support networks, or young people mentoring other young people, that will happen a lot more naturally once young people have a bit more security and are in a bit more of a leadership position.
Callum, congratulations on everything you've done. It's a fantastic social enterprise, and thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. It's really great talking to you.
Thanks for listening. You can find more conversations like this wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow me and Planet Shapers on our social channels.